International tensions are mounting once again. In a stunning development, Beijing has issued a fiery response to comments made by the U.S. president over the return of the Agram Airbase, signaling a possible new flashpoint in already strained relations between the world's two largest powers. The geopolitical stage is rarely calm, and the latest controversy over the Agram Airbase underscores how quickly sparks can fly between Washington and Beijing. In a recent press briefing, the U.S. President commented on the return of the strategically located Agram Airbase, a move that instantly triggered an official reaction from China. This dispute is not just about a single military installation, it reflects deeper tensions over security, influence, and regional dominance. China's response was swift and unequivocal. Official spokespersons called the remarks provocative and unhelpful, accusing the United States of destabilizing regional peace. Analysts say the sharp tone is a sign that Beijing views the base as more than a military asset. It's a symbol of American reach and influence near China's sphere of interest. The drama is playing out against the backdrop of ongoing trade disputes, competition over technology, and a contest for influence in South and Central Asia. The Agram Airbase has long been a point of strategic interest. Located at a crossroads of critical trade and security corridors, the base has been used by the United States for logistics, counterterrorism operations, and intelligence gathering. For years, it represented an anchor for Washington's presence in the region. After various agreements and negotiations, the future of the base became uncertain, culminating in the current debate over its return. During a nationally televised address, the U.S. President declared that the return of the Agram Airbase would restore balance and uphold America's commitments to regional partners. He framed it as part of a larger strategy to recalibrate U.S. military posture, reduce unnecessary overseas commitments, and encourage regional powers to take more responsibility for their own security. However, embedded in his remarks was a pointed reference to China. The president warned against external actors who might seek to exploit the transition period at Agram, saying Washington would monitor any moves that undermine regional security. Though he did not name China directly, analysts universally interpreted the comments as aimed squarely at Beijing. Within hours, China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs held a press conference condemning the U.S. president's remarks. A spokesperson described the statement as a Cold War mentality and accused the United States of using military facilities as pawns in a broader geopolitical game. State-run media in China amplified the message, running editorials asserting that the Agram Airbase belongs to the region and should not be used to contain China. According to regional observers, this kind of response is unusually harsh, even by Beijing standards. It signals that China believes its interests could be directly threatened by any shift in U.S. control of Agram. Some experts suggest China fears the base could eventually be handed over to a government aligned more closely with Washington's security agenda. For Beijing, Agram sits at the intersection of several major initiatives, from trade corridors under the Belt and Road Initiative to security partnerships with neighboring states. Any U.S. footprint in the area complicates China's efforts to extend its influence and protect its investments. In strategic terms, the base offers an unrivaled vantage point for surveillance and quick deployment. Losing or regaining control over such a facility can tilt the balance of power in subtle but significant ways. Allies and observers around the world are watching closely. NATO officials expressed hope that dialogue will prevail between Washington and Beijing. Meanwhile, regional governments have remained publicly neutral but are quietly calculating how this dispute could affect their own security and trade arrangements. Analysts believe the Agram dispute is more symbolic than operational. The base itself may not dramatically shift power balances, but it embodies the contest for dominance between the U.S. and China in strategic regions far from either nation's borders. In the U.S. media, coverage of the president's remarks has been divided. Supporters argue the statement was necessary to show strength and clarity, while critics warn it could provoke unnecessary escalation. In China, state outlets are framing the issue as yet another example of Washington trying to encircle Beijing. This dueling narrative amplifies public sentiment and makes compromise harder for both sides. Several scenarios could unfold. The U.S. may proceed with returning the base while maintaining some form of monitoring arrangement. China may respond with increased diplomatic engagement with the host country, or even try to secure its own foothold nearby. Alternatively, both nations could use back-channel diplomacy to prevent tensions from spiraling further. Experts also point out that the dispute could become a bargaining chip in broader U.S.-China negotiations, whether over trade, technology, or security. In this sense, the Agram Airbase might serve as a microcosm of the larger competition, each side pushing boundaries but seeking to avoid outright confrontation. This is not the first time a military base has ignited a diplomatic clash. During the Cold War, bases in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East frequently became focal points for great power rivalry. The Agram controversy echoes that era, but in a more complex, multipolar world where economic and technological interdependence raises the stakes even higher. As the situation develops, one thing is clear. The Agram Airbase is no longer just a patch of land with runways and barracks. It's a symbol of shifting power, national pride, and competing visions of global order. The U.S. President's statement and China's swift rebuke illustrate how even a single comment can ripple across continents, triggering diplomatic shockwaves. The coming weeks will reveal whether cooler heads prevail or whether this sharp exchange marks the start of a new chapter in U.S.-China rivalry. For now, policymakers, analysts, and citizens alike are left to watch, wait, and wonder how a single airbase can ignite such intense international debate. Stay tuned as this story unfolds, because in the arena of global power, every statement, every reaction, and every base matters.